So welcome everybody to our latest virtual town hall. I'm Brad West, the Senior Communications Officer for the City of Palm Coast. And today I am joined by City of Palm Coast Fire Chief, Gerald Forte, and Deputy Fire Chief, Brad Clark. And we're here to talk today about the great opportunities, the importance of volunteers in our fire department, the role they play, and the opportunities that there are for people in the community to get involved with our fire department. And it's really exciting topic and important topic. So Chief Forte, could you talk to us a little bit about why volunteering is important? What's kind of the background of volunteering with the fire department as well?
So to give you an idea, volunteering in Palm Coast started back in 1973 when we had our original corps. There was a small section of town that was being covered, and predominantly these were folks that had just recently retired from the New England area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, Virginia, and they moved to the area of Palm Coast because this was the up and coming area that's been established, and they were going out soliciting people to move to this core area. The city was founded by IT&T. They became a community development corporation. And so when you start bringing people in, the folks that were living here decided that they want to be part of something bigger and create a volunteer organization. So they started with roughly 36 people in an area that covered less than 2 square miles. And in the first year or so, they answered only 2 or 3 calls. And then it started to grow exponentially as people were moving in. And ITT was starting to now develop further out into the F section and the B section. The community grew and the volunteer program in the city grew. In all intents and purposes, it started off like most volunteer organizations that you're familiar with in the New England area or Midwest, where a small core town decides they want to have a fire department, and then all walks of life now become part of that agency, and they start to protect their own community. Palm Coast was no different. The only difference that we have is most of those communities that have been volunteer for nearly 2 centuries are now starting to grow quicker. And those older communities that have a steady population really didn't expand anymore. The Palm Coast population has exploded over the last 20 years to where we are approaching 95,000 people. So once was a started core of volunteers has grown into a combination of career and volunteer, and our commitment into the future is to continue with the volunteer program, but we're rebranding it a little bit to allow for volunteers to enter a program and move into the career setting.
That's a great explanation of volunteering and the background to that. So Brad, could you talk to us a little bit about ways that people can volunteer? What are those roles and what's some of the background with those?
Absolutely, Director. Thank you. So one of the things as the city became a city after the 1998 wildfires, and on December 31st of 99 became a city, the fire department became the first department. It became apparent that the history and the heritage that we had with volunteerism would be best suited to continue. And today there are a number of opportunities to continue to volunteer for the fire organization. We have actually combat certified firefighters. By that we mean that they're trained, they're equipped, they have their annual physicals, they have their annual fit testing for their air packs. They're literally firefighters who volunteer their time and actually help combat fires and help mitigate emergencies. We also have a program where citizens can help protect the scene and the responders operating on the scene. That's the fire police program. Fire police program don't have police powers per se. They're not out to arrest or pull people over for traffic violations. They're a support agency that provides protection to the scene. They help keep traffic flowing and to the extent we can, but keep it off of the responders, both medical, police, and fire, while operating on the scene of an emergency. Sadly, but one of the ways that firefighters and police officers and tow truck drivers, one of the ways that they are harmed most often in the pursuit of their duties is actually operating on the roadways, not actually in criminal activity or not actually in buildings on fire. So the fire police program is a vital part of keeping our firefighters safe and helping them endure that long career. We also have for our retired and still wanting to be active part of our community. We have what's called an associate volunteer. Associate volunteers do a myriad of support operations. They help us process applicants into the volunteer program. They assist when we do ceremonial events, some public education events, like soon we have the Touch a Truck. We will have some of the associates there. One of our associates is in charge of the battery recycling program that the city has in all the city facilities, where we collect those from the community. There are a myriad of ways to stay active and help. There's a Monday night meeting that keeps everything coordinated and organized, and it's a traditional type of hierarchical organization. There's a president, there's bylaws, there's rules of engagement, there's rules of performance, to go to so many meetings. And fourth, the one that our fire chief created years ago out of need, it was 5 years ago to be exact. We have an intern program. And intern programs are for those who aspire to move into the career ranks. And I'm going to let the fire chief describe that. He should be, and rightfully so, and he is proud of that program. It stopped what we saw as a mass exodus, and people stopped moving from here back to home. We started to invest in them, and they decided to stay. So Chief, tell us about that.
So we had an exodus of career firefighters back in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, in that range. And we literally lost 31 employees to agencies somewhere in the system. Out of the 31, 27 of those employees went and got a job in the fire service as a firefighter. So many of these folks were already career bound. They were moving up in the ranks. They were ready for promotion, and they ended up taking a job, not because they didn't like their boss. They took the job because the job that they took was 10 to 15 minutes away from their house. Most people were traveling to Palm Coast to work here. So when we looked at the exit interviews and studied the reasons why, the data showed us they didn't leave because they didn't like the place or the job or the equipment. They left because they wanted to roll out of bed and drive a 15-minute time to get to a fire station and do what they love to do. It was just in a different community. So with understanding the data came pain. We realized that, that 31 people that left took with them $181,000 in tuition that we were training these people to move up into the ranks. And it was very expensive and painful. And it was a stark realization that we looked internally, introspectively, at what we were doing, and was there a better way? So the opportunity came. We wanted to improve the volunteer ranks, but we also wanted to hire from within, because one of the rules about being a volunteer in Palm Coast is you have to live in the community. So we focused a lot of attention on the up and coming volunteers in their program and created the intern program 5 years ago. And the requirement is you had to live in town. Another requirement, you had to do 24 hours of training with a dedicated officer that we would assign that individual to. And that individual will develop a relationship between the officer's crew and that intern. And typically when you go in history, you've got career firefighters and they're on the opposite end of the spectrum of a volunteer. Usually they're oil and water. And when we integrated this program, there was a lot of pushback, and there was a lot of them and those volunteers, and they're on our trucks. And I knew we had success when we were about to hire our first one. And the officer came up to me and said, "My firefighter's ready to go." I said, "Wow, that's a big step." That was a big change. It went from the volunteer or them to my firefighter. That was a changing day. It was exciting. It was invigorating, and it was one of those days that stands out. When you're actually now assigned to that career crew, they got skin in the game. They want to see that person succeed. We've got some of the lieutenants here that have graduated 3 or 4 interns, and there is pride in that. Yeah. And this was a wonderful program that actually brought together the career and volunteer like it's never done in history. And there's no competition. They are the 4th person on the fire engine. They don't replace a career person. They enhance the group. And when you've got a volunteer that is dedicated to a crew, they become a family, whether they realize it or not. And when it comes time for the promotion from intern to career, it's a celebration. It's a family gathering. The crews get together. The officer who is part of that training offers the person the job, not me, not Brad. We set the relationship up. We did not have anything to do with their training. The relationship was developed, and the officer who has got that person to a status of career is offering that person a job and finishing what they started, which is very exciting. The intern program, I think, is going to increase and morph, but the numbers are staggering on the success on the program. And just to quickly idea, we've had so many retirements and so many people in the past that left. We had 15 vacancies from retirements and people that have taken early retirement. Of the 17 volunteer interns that we have hired, 15 are still employed. And that's a staggering number. That's a 92% retention rate, where a person started as a volunteer, they moved to the career status, and they stayed here. And there's a few factors that attribute to that. One, they're happy. They enjoy their engine company. They enjoy the culture in the organization, the freedom of creativity, and they're part of a team. The very first day they start to intern, they're basically told that this is their house and they're to make it comfortable. Another aspect is when they are part of the program, they have to live in the community. So their house is here, their family is here, their parents might be here, their children might be here going to school. They've already set up some sort of a life and root system in the city of Palm Coast. And that is the basics for any hometown fire service. And you look back in history, go up to the old New England, small little hamlets and the little cottage towns. Their core fire department, those families have been there for generations. And when you start to envelop those folks into the system, well, now we've got people that are local, protecting the community, and they don't have to drive for 45 minutes or an hour to get to a job. They're right here. So, you know, we were able to capture the people that are actually living in the community. We hire them for character. We train them to be the best firefighter. And now they're part of a system that is protecting our own.
And that's great. I mean, we talked about this the other day as well, and you were sharing so many great things about the intern program, and it kind of leads into the next part of who these volunteer, opportunities are best suited for. And I think in the intern program, it's important to point out that it's open to everyone. We have a lot of females that are involved becoming firefighters. And talk to us a little bit about that. I think that's important to point out.
So when you have the program go through the volunteer organization, one of the neat opportunities that creates is for us to go out and recruit people and bring them into the organization, even though we may not have a budgeted position available. Obviously, there's not a career fire chief in the country that has the unilateral ability to go out and just create firefighter openings at will. But when you have a partnership with a partnering organization like our volunteer fire department, then we can continue to increase the role on that side. We started a junior firefighter program recently where the children age, if you will, I think they're mostly 7th to 12th grade. And so that's a feeder program, if you will, into the intern program. And that's done under the umbrella of the volunteer program. You have the intern program where we have the ability to help find scholarships and help fund some of the training. You have the fire police program where we provide the training in emergency vehicles. You have the combat side, the volunteer firefighter, where we have the ability. There's not a limit. There's not a budgetary, there's not a statutory, there's not a regulatory, there's no limit. It's just keeping the employee trained, keeping them certified, keeping them properly equipped, and keeping them motivated. And I think that's where you'll see over the years, what the fire chief did with the intern program was born out of necessity. None of our programs right now are broken, but you'll see some evolution, not necessarily revolution, but you'll see it evolve some. So volunteer departments, why did you have to live in your community? Because when there's a fire, time matters. And you had to get to the fire station, you had to get the vehicle, and you had to get to the scene. Here, there's not a lot of difference in that. But what we're looking at is the possibility of if we're able to go out further by changing some of the bylaws and the ordinances in the city, that maybe you would have an opportunity to come down on an assignment to staff during our peak times, like Friday evenings from 6 to 10, Saturdays during special events like 4th of July fireworks, or we have a special detail at Home Depot, and to allow the opportunity for the fire department, the firefighter side of the volunteer department, the combat side, to staff one of our fire engines and to be part of our response scheme for that day and help cover some of those events or during periods of high activity, like when we're especially dry and the wildfires are a great threat, and to help staff some of those trucks. And so I think that's more evolutionary, though. Right now, we rely on them to respond back to the stations. And I think we're starting to wonder with the way people have jobs. Everybody's busier in life. Some people have 2 jobs. Kids have sporting events. Now kids want to do multiple sports. I think we're seeing that the ability to drop everything and run to the firehouse is maybe part of what's wrong with the National Volunteer Firefighter Program. And maybe we need to do some schedules that are periods of high activity, but also periods of convenience for our employee and our members. So I think there'll be more evolution, which may create additional opportunities for some of the people in the community, like ones that may live out further. But for now, that's very much all a work in progress.
So it's some of the, what you touched on is, and people are probably wondering is, what kind of background or skills or any type of experience that people need to have in various volunteering roles within the fire department?
That's a great point. We can go out and find a firefighter anywhere, but we'd probably be going very far away to bring them here to give them a job. And if they have a job here and something opens up close to their home, they're going to leave again. Our main criteria for hiring somebody is character. We can teach anybody to raise a ladder. We can teach anybody to drag a hose across a driveway. We can teach anybody how to take a blood pressure or put an IV somewhere. The best part of what we get to do is we get to see you for the better part of a year or 2 before we hire you. So we only get to work with you a little bit, but the engine companies get to work with you as a family member. It's about the longest interview of your life, we say, and we get to see the best parts of you and the worst parts of you. And if you come to us with character, we can teach you everything. We'll send you to school. We'll send you to the programs. We'll teach you what you need to learn. We have our program is based off of a tuition that we'll sponsor you. All you have to do is show up and give us 24 hours a month. But in order for you to come in here, you have to have a high school diploma or GED equivalency, clean driving record, clean background, and we will work with anybody who has a desire to change their community. It is definitely character-based. We had a philosophy many years ago, we're going to get the best firefighters, and guess what? We got them, and then they went somewhere else. And now we've got the opportunity to home grow our own staff. And the people in the community, there's a lot of talent out there. And if they want to come in and walk in the door, we've got folks that'll sit down with them and tell them why this is the best career that they could ever choose and what they have to do to get to that point.
Great.
It really provides an opportunity for us to diversify too. But the approach that the fire chief developed, I was just thinking about when he was talking about the quality and the character of the people we're hiring. Just as an example to that, the last 3 firefighters we hired, from interns to firefighters, one is a recent immigrant to this country. English is the second language. From a character perspective, this is undisputably one of the highest character people we can find. Another young lady served in the military at length, was working hard to hold down 2 jobs, was given an ultimatum that you're either going to need to concentrate on the fire department or you're going to want to be here and work for us. And she said, well, I want to be a firefighter. And how can you not help but take somebody in that wants to be a firefighter more than to have those 2 jobs at a necessity to keep their family rolling? And then we hired a young man with great character. And when I say young, I'm exaggerating. He's 50. He spent a career in IT, but his heart's made of gold. He was raised with character. I met his parents the other night at a badge pinning ceremony. He didn't fall far from the tree. His parents are both rich with character. It's from 50-year-olds to 18-year-olds. English is primary language or second or third language. Different backgrounds, IT, the Army. It gives us an opportunity, and that's kind of what makes the fire service strong the way it is we have the ability that through the variety of people we have to relate to the people that we serve. And we want to be better at it, of course, but that's the neat thing about the volunteer program is that we have the ability to broaden the spectrum on the people who are serving with us.
So we were talking earlier, a couple of weeks back, I remember, about volunteering, kind of got to this point, which is was very interesting. And is there any immediate needs right now, any areas in volunteering in the fire department that you find a need more than others, and who would best fit those roles?
I would say right now, the most immediate need would be for fire police. As Brad spoke about earlier, you don't know the fire police are on scene until they're not on scene and you've got a traffic problem. And so the big joke is the guys that are coming out with the big banana suits and they're all in yellow and they're telling you to go a different direction. At some point when you're working a car accident or a fire and the vehicles are trying to get around you to go wherever they're going, and then all of a sudden it calms down and it gets real quiet and there's no more traffic. The fire police are on scene and they just diverted everything. It's out of your purview. You don't have to worry about anything. There's a logo on the back of their shirts that says, "I've got your six." And they do. They have our backs every time we go out. There's somebody that's protecting us from oncoming traffic so that we can concentrate on the task at hand and not what the danger might be coming at us. The fire police are an older group of folks. Typically, they've retired either from a police department or a sheriff's office someplace, or these are just folks that found out that this is a pretty cool place to be and they want to be part of it. We'd like to expand or double the size of the group now from 5 to 10, and the city is getting that much bigger, so we're probably going to break the city up into quadrants that they'd be covering instead of having them go across town and cover all the zone. But the biggest one is the fire police. I'm very happy to say that our intern program is not full. We have just looked at the recent numbers and got the most update. Every one of our lieutenants has an intern, and there's 3 on a waiting list. We're about to hire 2 of those folks. And they all come from different walks of life. Former sheriff's office, they were kids right out of high school, folks that have been working in restaurants. They came in and found that this is an opportunity to change their life. And if you can take someone and give them the dream job that they've always wanted, you provide them a path, you help take their obstacles out of the way for them to be better, you're going to have an employee for 25 or 30 years that is just tickled to come to work. The volunteer interns themselves, they are a strong group that they're in process in some form or another. Some are finishing their school. We've got 5 that are finishing right now in the month of May. 3 are fully certified. A few of them are brand new coming in, taking their first class. So they're staggered through their progress, but each one of them has earned their way along the way. And I think when you start looking at how we're working with the interns and getting them prepared for future station openings, and a few more retirements are coming in the near future, our staff is going to be ready that we get the phone call that somebody is about to retire. And then the second thing that we do is we make a phone call to the intern and the lieutenant makes the offer. And in 2 weeks, that position is filled, and it's with somebody who's already familiar with the system. They know what the apparatus are. They know what the equipment is that they're supposed to use. They're familiar with the air pack. They've been tested in the field by the company officers, so there's no surprise if they can or cannot do the work. That 2-year interview is proving out that the phone call's made and we have an employee ready to start.
So one of the things that we'll do, everybody at this point, because all these programs are so wonderful, and I know there's people eager to get involved out there, that we'll make sure in the comment and in the description area of this video, we'll have the ways that people could get started, which is, correct me if I'm wrong. If I miss any of these, they can go to palmcoastgov.com/fire, and there's volunteering information under there where there's a simple form they can fill out. They can also go to palmcoastconnect.com and go under the public safety tab. We have volunteering information on there as well. And there'll be a phone number that they can contact and call the fire department and inquire for more information also and get started in the process. And we'll have that right in the description for everybody to go to.
There's another group too,
yeah.
Director. We have a spectacular communications department at City Hall who helped create a card for us that we hand out wherever we're at an event like Food Truck Tuesdays and Touch a Truck. And on the back of that card is a QR code that they can hit with their phone and also route into those ways as well. So look for us at the next festival.
I have to find that communications department. They sound great.
They're a good one.
So we did, we asked for some questions and whatnot. And one of the biggest questions that came in, or actually a great question that came in is, do you need to be a resident of Palm Coast to be on the volunteer fire police? We have a gentleman who lives in the Marineland Aces area. So is that something that this individual will be able to get involved in? Or
We can look at them and certainly he can make the phone calls and come in. Right now, if he wants to see what we're about, we could probably take a look at that. If he's got his email, we can give him the information and forward that back to him on who to contact and how to. But we'd like to take a look at anybody that wants to be part of it. And the idea is being part of something bigger than themselves. And we'll see how we can utilize them.
Perfect.
In the past, it used to be just restricted in the intern program for people that lived in the city, but we've expanded that out and we've had some success with it. So we'll take a look at them and see what we can apply.
Okay. So in regards to the intern program, if somebody's in Bunnell or they're in Flagler Beach, that's something they can inquire. And somebody within the county, they can inquire into that.
Very much so.
And anybody within Flagler County, if they want to get involved in volunteering, it's just something that they can just reach out through the same process and would evaluate on a case-by-case basis.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Anything else you want to offer?
The fire chief and I together have been doing this for almost 70 years. We haven't worked together for that long, but it feels like a long time because we get along very well. We have a lot of the same ideals. We have a lot of the same scars coming through the ranks, but we also have a lot of the same successes. And he and I, neither one at our tenure or our age, which he happens to be a year older. Well, 6 days less than a year. But the point is that this job, if you do it right, you get a lot out of it. We're serving in a community where we know people at every grocery store stop we make, friends, family, our religious affiliations, our civic organizations, and it's a pretty high calling to serve in your community. And there may be others who compete in that. Those who serve in their faith, or those who serve in medicine, or those who educate the future of our country in teaching in the classroom. But I got to tell you, if there was a better job built for Jerry Forte or Brad Clark, I don't know what it would have been. This has been the most rewarding life I could have lived. I know he's lived it the same and got the most out of it. And I wish that for a lot of people, if what they do supports who they are and they enjoy that, I wouldn't ask them to change it, but I would ask them to consider maybe something that would help fill the bucket at the end of the day. And that's jumping in a vehicle and running over to a car crash or a scene of a fire and helping protect the emergency responders and let that be contagious. It fills your bucket. It's its own reward. That seldom is work its own reward. In this case, it is. I just think the calling is there. The opportunities are there. There's a little bit of a benefit at the end. There's also a pension for the fire police program and the firefighter program. So I do believe that if somebody's looking for just a way to have a little more excitement and to be involved in something bigger than themselves, this is a great way to do it. And to be quite frank with you, We have made a habit out of promoting for character, hiring for character, and raising the firefighters to the next level based on character. And that in and of itself, being around good people and the reputation that precedes us and the generations that came before us, that we're benefiting from their efforts. So if you're looking for that something, this could very well be it.
Yeah, just to dovetail on that, if you've ever been out somewhere and you saw a fire truck going down the street and you said, "Oh, that's pretty cool. I think I'd like to do that one day." And you've always thought that might be too hard. Or if you actually called 911 and you walked into a situation where your house was on fire, where there was smoke in your house, and an engine company showed up, and the first thing that they said is, "It's going to be okay." And your stress level comes dramatically down. Or if you're at the point where someone in your house has a medical emergency and somebody showed up and they did something amazing and your family member turned out okay, and you thought, "Oh, I could never do that." We all were there. We were all inexperienced. We were all doing something else. 50% or 51% of our department came from a volunteer service. Out of the volunteers we have now, 26% of our career department is made up of interns, all of which walked in the door without having any idea how to be a firefighter. They just walked in the door and said, "How do I do this?" We have a 40% attrition rate, which means out of the 100 people that would walk in the door to be a volunteer, 40% of the people say, "I'm not going into a burning building," or "This whole blood thing is not cool." We get that. We will never punch your ticket and say you can't be a firefighter. We're going to find out what you have and what you can bring to the system and see how you could be utilized. But you're never going to be told you failed at being a firefighter. Sometimes it's something that somebody has to realize. But we will encourage you. We will help you. We will help you get to the next level. We'll push you a little bit harder than you've ever thought you can push your body. But at no point will anybody ever say you can't be a firefighter, because it's not in our DNA. We offer opportunity. We offer challenges. We encourage people to excel. And if you have the internal drive that you might want to be that person on that fire engine going to a call, and you thought it was amazing when you were a kid watching them come to the school and listen to them talk, come on in. Talk to us, see what it's like. We'll let you take a couple of drives on the truck. We'll put you with a crew for 3 rides to see if this is something that you might want to do. And I can guarantee you, once you take that ride on the engine, you'll get bit by the bug and you'll never be out of that station long. With Brad and his 35 years and me with my 30 years, yeah, we still love coming to work.
Well, I'll just say thank you to both of you, one for being here today, but for everything that you all do every day and all our fire department does. As somebody who not only works here, resides here, you all do a tremendous job, and we really appreciate it. I know in my household, and I know many in this community, everybody appreciates you all. So thank you very much for your time today. It's great information, and we look forward to hearing from anybody out there that wants to get involved with volunteering with our fire department, wants to know more. Again, go to the description, and we have all the contact information to help you get started today. So thank you again, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Brad.